Welcome to Hypnosis Health Info. I'm Roger Moore. This morning I was in the grocery store and I was standing in line at the checkout counter, and the man in front of me had some pastries that he had gotten back in the bakery department, and he and the store clerk were talking about these pastries, and evidently they had bits of bacon in them or were bacon flavored or something, which just kind of gave me the willies because I just couldn't imagine, well, first of all, why I eat bacon, but I couldn't imagine having a sweet pastry with bacon in it, and it just did not compute for me. And then the store clerk started laughing. He started talking about, well, you know, that they've now said that it's okay to eat grease and bad fat, and that it's good for you. And you know, I'm trying not to roll my eyes too hard or burst out laughing, and I just listened to these two carry on, and the guy left, and I checked out, and went home, and on the way home I remembered something that I had read recently in the Huffington Post, and it was an article that was written by Dr. Neil Bernard from the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. It was the HuffPost Healthy Living on April 14th of 2014, and here's what Dr. Bernard wrote. Hooray! We can all eat grease again. On March 17, 2014, after decades of damning evidence that bad fat leads to heart disease, certain cancers, and other serious and even fatal health problems, headlines proclaimed the results of a new study published in a prestigious journal that seemed to say that bad fat wasn't so bad for your heart after all. But before you fry up that bacon, hold the fork. It turned out that the study had some statistical quirks that made bad fat look safer than it really is. The study was a meta-analysis. That is, it combined the results of several prior research studies. Some had shown marked dangers of saturated fats while others did not. And they were all blended together in a statistical stew. The weak studies tend to dilute the stronger ones, masking real dangers. The analysis also used results that were statistically adjusted so as to downplay the dangers of saturated fat. One that went into the mix was Harvard's famed nurses' health study. In the original study, those who ate the most saturated fat had a 52% increased risk of developing heart disease. That's obviously alarming. But the numbers were then adjusted for cholesterol intake, protein intake, and other factors, making the risk vanish. Here's the problem. The foods that have saturated fat are the same ones that have cholesterol and protein. Meat, for example, has all three. So if you adjust the statistics for cholesterol and protein, the dangers of bad fat are hard to see. It's a bit like studying whether cigarettes cause cancer. If you adjust the statistics for whether people carry cigarette lighters and have ashtrays in their homes, the relationship between cigarettes and cancer can be made to disappear. Other researchers immediately caught the flaws and called for a retraction, but that didn't stop the article from being widely quoted as showing that bad fat was safe. Even if you bought the myth that lard won't hurt your heart, not a sensible thing to do, it pays to remember that bad fat poses other risks. In a carefully controlled Chicago study, researchers found that people eating the most saturated fat had a far higher risk of developing Alzheimer's disease compared with people who avoided bad fat. And overwhelming evidence shows that meat eaters have more weight problems, heart attacks, cancer, diabetes, and hypertension compared with people who avoid meat. Why are we even talking about saturated fat anyway, you might ask? A big reason is that in 1977, the Senate Select Committee on Nutrition and Human Needs recommended that Americans cut back on meat for health reasons. That was good advice. But the beef industry fought back, making it clear that criticizing meat was a serious political no-no. So when the U.S. dietary guidelines were published, they danced around ideas like eating less meat. Instead, they used a sort of nutritional code recommending that Americans limit saturated fat and cholesterol. Americans were confused exactly what the meat industry had hoped for. And meat intake didn't drop one bit. It actually climbed from 178 pounds per person per year in 1970 to more than 2,000 pounds, 200 pounds in 2004. Cheese, oil, and sugar intake rose too. And Americans got fatter and fatter. No, it wasn't those Snackwell low-fat cookies that broadened our girth. It was the bacon and egg sandwich and the chicken salad. The tobacco industry is no doubt kicking itself. Had it used the same tactic, confusing consumers by focusing on specific parts of tobacco smoke instead of on smoking itself, it could have deflected attention away from the overwhelming evidence that smokers get cancer. So while researchers debate about saturated fats, monounsaturated fats, dietary cholesterol, and yawn, all the other things that go into burgers and pork chops, it pays to remember one fact. Meat is unhealthy. Whether you blame its bad fat, its cholesterol, the vitamins that meat is missing, its lack of fiber, or anything else, meat boosts your risks of heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, and colon cancer. So skip the meat. Vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and beans are still exactly what the doctor ordered. There are plenty of cookbooks and plans to get you started. And that's exactly what we do here at Hypnosis Health Info and at Slender for Life, is I coach you and I guide you in making the lifestyle changes from a meat and dairy-based diet to one that's plant-based, one that is healthy, and one that healthy culture since the beginning of mankind have lived on. Never in recorded history have human beings eaten the way that we eat today. And never in recorded history have we had the diseases that we have today, because healthy peoples throughout time have lived on whole grains, they've lived on root vegetables and a little bit of fruit. And here at Slender for Life and Hypnosis Health Info, I coach you and I teach you the hypnosis for weight loss tools that support you in changing your relationship with yourself, your relationship with food, having a large amount of no desire for the cholesterol fats, high cholesterol foods, and for the fats, for the salts, for the sugars, and create a healthy desire for the whole grains, the vegetables, and the fruit. So I have clients here on Bainbridge Island, and happy to see you here. I can see you over in my office in Seattle in the Medical Dental Building in downtown Seattle. Once a month I'm out on the coast in Forks. And I also coach clients online. I have clients in several states and several countries around the world that I work with via the internet. So I can teach you the tools so that you too can end your desire for the foods that make you fat and sick and create healthy desires for the foods that make you slender and healthy. So if I can be of support to you, please give me a call at 206-903-1232 or send me an email, roger@hypnosishealthinfo.com, and let me know how to support you. I'm Roger Moore, and this is Hypnosis Health Info.